I think they need to have, and they have some of these programs. You talked about WIBIC, but we need more forgivable loans.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe make them pay back the first few years, but if they're still able to sustain and they're in business past 3 years, forgive the difference of the loan. I just think we need more investment in the neighborhood, more philanthropic dollars. Greater Milwaukee Foundation, they do a lot of great work. But a lot of these foundations, man, I would like to see them do more in the central city of our community. So that's my personal call to action, is making sure we get more philanthropic funding in the community and whatever it takes. I mean, of course, make sure, make them fill out applications, choose the best. Maybe everyone doesn't make it, but
No, for sure.
we literally need more investment into the neighborhood. We need it.
So, welcome back to another episode of the What's Your Motive podcast. Today, I have a very interesting guest, a guest that I actually went to school with. We played on the basketball team with. We've rode together to school. Lots of background, lots of history together. Been watching each other. Definitely watching him from afar. But I'm just extremely happy to begin this episode today because I actually get to catch up with him. We see each other in passing here and there and things like that, but we haven't been able to actually sit down and have a conversation, which is long overdue. Yes. So please welcome James Methu to the What's Your Mother podcast. How you doing, James?
Good, man. I'm happy to be here. Happy to see you, man. Like you said, it's been a while, so I'm excited, man.
Yes. I mean, you were 04?
04. So it's been a minute. It's crazy. It's been over 20 years already, man, but that's a good thing about life, man. Just keep on going.
Yeah, I know. And this year is our 20-year reunion, our 20-year anniversary from graduating from Mesmer, man.
Man, that's crazy. Are y'all doing anything like?
So I think it's in the works.
Yeah.
I think we got some stuff in the works. So hopefully, it pans out. A lot of people are trying to, work on organizing that. So we'll see.
That's good because we didn't do nothing, man. It just came and went. I'm like, somebody doing it. I'm just getting back on social media, and like a couple people were saying like they was gonna do something, but nothing happened, man. So
do you still keep in contact with anybody from your class?
Dave Westmoreland.
Dave Westmoreland.
Yeah, good dude.
Shout out Dave.
Shout out to Dave.
He in Atlanta?
Yeah, he down there in Georgia. He's probably the main guy I really stay in touch with, which is low-key kind of bad. I got to reconnect now. Social media makes that easier.
Right, absolutely.
So I got to really lock in on that, man.
No, for sure. I mean, I think I remember some of our most enjoyable times, I mean, you can agree or disagree, was playing for Hines.
Playing for Hines, man, he was a character. Shout out to Hines. I'm glad. I hope he's doing well. I know he's doing well. I saw him too.
Okay, yep.
We was just talking about the characters, how funny everybody used to be, man.
Woo!
Everybody had a sense of humor. I thought.
Yes, I think, and that's one thing I think about James. Like for the high school kids now, I wonder if they have fun. Like I think we had fun.
We did.
Like whether it been in class. Remember we had Miss Morrison together. Yeah. So. Lots of jokes there.
Man.
The bus to the games.
Man.
The Milwaukee Bucks game was hilarious. Going to Hines' house as a team before I turned it. Man, we had a lot of fun times. Even, like you said, riding to school.
Riding to school together, man. Quest's sister, shout out to her.
Shout out Yodi.
I always wanted to thank you for just like picking us up and, making sure we got to school on time. Always had us vibing. That's how I started getting into Beyonce. I'm like, man, she cold. But it was kind of weird, but it just made us all closer to me.
I agree. And I think sometimes as a young individual, sometimes we take for granted those times in which you really like forge these relationships. You be like, how does this even happen? But it happens authentically.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So shout out to Yodi for that.
For sure, man.
All right. So fast forward, after you graduated from Mesmer, what did you end up getting into? What did you do next?
Man, graduated from Mesmer, like you said, 04. I went to Chicago State. I mean, for me, bro, it was about getting out of the city.
Mm-hmm.
Because you think about it, and it's probably so many of our young people, I had never left the north side of Milwaukee.
Never.
Like, I never even went across the bridge to the south side. The east side was foreign to me. So I'm like, let me go out of the state.
Yep.
So I went to Chicago State for a year, like maybe a year and a half. And, I transferred schools, which I don't know if I really recommend because you lose credits and stuff like that. So I transferred schools to Georgia to Columbus State University, and that was a fun experience. Getting
Down
used to
south.
down south, different weather. I used to go to the different bands, go see HBCUs, and it was just good, kind of locking in and getting a different feel for life. Outside of Wisconsin and Milwaukee.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's what you end up doing afterwards.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, was going down south to Columbus, was it extremely different from the northern geographic area?
It was.
Especially
It was.
demographically and
Demographically, everybody had an accent. They talk about that Southern hospitality. I think that's a real thing. Where I went, it was about an hour or so from Atlanta.
okay.
So it was just a bit more country.
Gotcha.
So, you got to get used to that country vibe. But everybody was joining fraternities and sororities, something I wish I did, but I didn't do. But the best thing, honestly, was the weather, man.
Gotcha.
He was always worried about a hurricane or tornado.
Right.
But, it never really snowed, and, you got to wear shorts early. And that was always a vibe, man.
Got you. And you mentioned like a lot of our kids in the inner city, especially on the north side, a lot of times they don't go to any other side of Milwaukee or let alone out of the state.
Yeah.
And I remember going to UWM and we met some people from Racine. And I had no idea what was in Racine.
Right.
And then you start seeing like, black people from Racine. I'm like, man,
yeah, right.
from Racine? Like, what? And he's like, yeah. You know what I'm saying? So you saying that it's like, I played it safe and I stayed at UWM. And I wish I kind of spread my wings a little bit and went somewhere else. You know what I'm saying? But I'm glad that you was able to get that. So, and like you said, that's important for the youth, right?
Yeah. I think it's important for young people, even if they end up coming back. Like one thing that I admired about people like you is, okay, you might have stayed home, but you kept the talent at home.
Gotcha.
A lot of people, as soon as they get done, like, oh, I'm moving to Atlanta, I'm moving to these different areas, and then you have that brain drain, and then it's tough to really bring up the community.
Man.
But
let's stay there. Why do you think that is, though? Because a lot of people do get on or evolve and grow into this different person or get these connections, and they stay gone as opposed to reaching back or bringing it back to their hometown community.
I think, man, like we get a bad rap. I mean, I'll be honest. Milwaukee can be a tough city, especially if you are on one side of town. The inner city is definitely tough, but it's thrown in your face like this is the worst place for black people in America. So the first thing you want to do is leave. You know what I mean? But what you end up seeing sometimes when you do leave is, hey, it's first off, a lot of cities are struggling, especially in certain neighborhoods, and the grass ain't always greener on the other side. So I think it's just getting that thrown in our face, bro, to be honest.
Right. And then it's funny because although we on the podcast, I still listen to other podcasts, and I heard someone say, like, sometimes you have to leave to actually be acknowledged for what you have, for your value.
Yeah.
And then you have to come back for people to recognize, like, this is what I have and this is what I bring to the table.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of troubling, but I also think it's true. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely true. I mean, hopefully us being part of the generation that's sticking around, we can kind of help reverse the trends, help set the table for the next generation to improve things even more than what we're seeing now, what we're doing now.
Right.
But, we just sometimes you do got to get that experience just to come back home and feel it and see it, man.
Man. So what did you end up going to college for? Like, what were you studying?
So I studied business administration, which was cool. It's a pretty basic degree. I think I didn't really know what I wanted to do.
Got you.
My parents was in business doing their thing, so I'm like, I just want to do that.
I got you.
But I think as I got older, I realized that I wanted to be whatever I was doing in the community, and then making an impact, but also actually helping businesses grow to the next level. If it was a bigger Fortune 500 business, fine. But I just wanted to be able to make an impact inside of a business. That was really my goal as I kind of started studying and got my degree. And
was that at Chicago State and Columbus? Like, did you?
So I ended up graduating from Columbus State, and I was like a year into my MBA. That's probably one regret I had. I was a year into my MBA, and then my mom got sick, and that was really one of the main reasons why I came back too.
Gotcha.
To be closer to my family, closer to my mom, and thankfully she's doing well. But like,
good to hear.
I just had to come back, but I wish I did finish up that MBA though. To be honest with you.
Yeah. Hey, still could if you want.
You're right.
You know
that?
No,
right,
but I hear you.
Right. Yeah.
But I hear you. So you graduate from Columbus State.
Yep,
Columbus State. So you end up doing that, and then what did you transition to doing next?
Came back to Milwaukee. So it was, man, it was a recession, right? It was like that 08, 09 period.
Okay.
Um, and I started selling insurance, bro. I started
Gotcha.
selling insurance. And honestly, I was doing good for a minute, man. It's like, man, people were, getting policies, but I don't think I did a great job with like holistic financial planning. I mean, I was a young guy. I'm still a young guy, but I was a real young guy. So it's like you talking to somebody in their 40s about what they're supposed to do. Sometimes it gets a little rough. So once I started struggling, I started working for Northwestern Mutual in compliance. And that was probably like my first real job. I mean, outside of, coming back and getting into sales. But no, I got into compliance and I met a lot of great people in compliance, man.
Okay.
Shout out to Northwestern Mutual. Some of them are still there and have been there like for years now.
So. No, for sure. Shout out to Northwestern Mutual. They actually just sponsored the Loyola Project event at MATC that I was able.
I hate that I couldn't get to that too. It
yeah,
like it was an amazing event.
Yeah, big shout out to Kyle Hayden at MATC because he orchestrated a lot of that, and
I love Kyle,
and everybody on the panel. Yeah, Kyle, my man.
That's a funny cat, but that's my guy.
Yes, Kyle, shout out Kyle. So did you always know that you wanted to do something in business, like even when you were in high school, or did this actually happen as you were going through college?
Even in high school, bro, because like my dad, so my mom is African American, my dad's from Kenya. He lives in Kenya now.
Wow.
Yeah, he's been there for years actually, but he used to have an African store. It was in the hood. It was on 38th and Burl Line, bro.
38th and Burl Line.
38th and Burl Line, not too far from that pastry shop that's still there.
The pastry shop. Oh, so right in the mix of Fond du Lac, Burl Line, and all that together. Gotcha.
Yeah, so it's like I kind of. I essentially grew up there because I was always working at the store.
Gotcha.
And
never knew that.
Yeah, I was like the first employee. I used to do the register, I used to sweep and everything and sell stuff. And my dad, he would just check in on me and he would run it. But that's how I knew then that I wanted to get into business. And granted, I don't want to act like we just made millions, but being able to have that interaction with customers and be able to see transactions and how to actually make money, bro. That I knew I wanted to do something then. Like I think something involving business is just. I knew it at that time.
And it's early exposure, right? As opposed to us growing up and we just, a lot of our parents, and there's no knock on them.
Yeah.
Or they go to work and the finish line is to retire and live off their, their pension or 401.
Yeah.
You were actually able to see someone run a business and you actually be a part of that.
Literally.
And those are the type of experience I wish we could do a lot more with our inner city youth. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do. I agree, man. I would love to be part of the solution as far as helping expose young people to stuff like that because I think that's where it starts, man. I mean, you don't want to overwork them too much,
No, for sure.
But I think getting that experience was good. Like, I'll be honest, I used to sleep on the floor. Like, time to take a nap, I used to fall asleep on the floor, bro.
Really?
Wake up and still be working, just when I was little. But I do think that exposure, it stays with you because I used to be with my brother, too. And, even though I'm a part-time entrepreneur, he's a full-time entrepreneur.
Gotcha.
And to me, that's where the stuff started, just being able to do that together and, working that entrepreneurial life together,
man. So doing some of those things together.
Yeah. And to me, that highlights family, too. Like, especially in our community, you don't really see family so much working together. So to be able to do that, like, that's really a big deal to me, man. It's like it's a dream. It's a dream, honestly.
Yes, it's a big deal because you actually truly can go further together. And why not do it with a family member too? You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying we can't work in a community with other community members. Because I think that's something I really, really want to try to do is trying to find some partnerships, find some collaborative ways to work together. Yeah. And I understand that like livelihood is a big thing, right? So monetarily, people wanted to make sure it's worthwhile and it's mutually beneficial, right?
Yeah.
And I get that because I'm with that for sure. I have my own family, but I just want to make sure that that impact can be there and that the motive is right, and for you to be able to, work alongside your brother, that's even better because it's a family.
It's great, man. Just being able to, he has a son now, my little nephew, so being able to see him every week, be able to do things together, be able to work on projects together, it's a dream come true because, growing up in Milwaukee, you never know how things will end up. You have dreams and hopes, but you never know how to end up. So it's good to be on the other side and to be able to work together and
agreed.
And hopefully keep it going, to be honest.
No, for sure. So after Northwestern Mutual, what did you end up doing?
After Northwestern Mutual, man, so being here, I had been back out of school. The job was going good. And then it was just looking at our community.
Gotcha.
You look at our community, and I'm like, man, I want to run for office. I want to run for office.
Talk about it.
And it's like, what should I do? What should I do? I used to talk to my guys, and it's crazy that Alderman Lamont Westmoreland, he's an alderman now, but at the time he was just a dude. He's still just a dude.
Yeah.
But we were like, man, what should we do? It's like, man, you should run for a big office. So I was like, okay, I'm just gonna run for mayor. And I'm like, I didn't know how big of a task it was. I just knew like I was an ambitious guy.
Right.
And, Milwaukee, you could say it's a medium-sized city, maybe,
Right.
But at the time, I just thought I could knock on every door, bro. That's crazy. That's crazy. But I said, yo, I'm going to run for office. So I left my job, bro. I can't believe I did it. I was still in my 20s. I was like 28, I was like 29. I left my job and I ran for office full time, bro. That was crazy. I don't recommend that, but that's what happened, bro.
How long did you think about? Was this spur of the moment, like, or was this like I thought about this for a couple of weeks, a couple of months, like?
It was a couple months, man.
Okay.
And I felt like obviously we went to Mesmer, and I wouldn't say I'm religious. I'm definitely spiritual.
For sure.
And I just thought I saw signs saying like, just do it, just do it, just do it. And I didn't have any kids at the time. So
Gotcha.
If I'm gonna do something wild, maybe that was the time to do it. I didn't in college. I didn't have those. People had those sabbatical years. Where like, oh, I did this. I volunteered.
Right.
For me, that was my sabbatical. That was a sabbatical year, bro. I'll never get it back.
What was that like, though? So tell me, what was that like? Because like you said, you thought you could knock on everyone's door.
Yeah.
Like, what was it like when you start getting into, actually start from the inception?
Yeah. So I had said I was going to run for mayor. And I just put it on social media. And then I did a press conference, bro. Everybody was laughing at me, bro. I did a press conference. Yeah, I was right on the north side, right on Capitol Drive, bro. It was like 3 people there. Nobody really came, but I did my thing, and that was it. That was the start of it. I did it, and I had met some people that was gonna be like my campaign manager until she wanted money, and then I had to let her go. It was actually. Remember Felix Walls? It was Felix's sister, Allegra.
Gotcha.
Shout out to Allegra.
Because
she's amazing, but I could not pay her. And she left, man. So I didn't have no campaign manager for a while until a gentleman named Joshua Taylor joined, and he really kind of became my campaign manager. Shout out to Josh. And that's how we started, man. It was just this hodgepodge group. It was like 3 or 4 of us, and we was trying to knock on every door, man. But it ended up being a few thousand, to be honest. So yeah, everybody made fun of me, man. Everybody made fun of me, and then I had a turning point. I started going on radio.
Got you.
I went on Sherwin Hughes show, which I gotta highlight him because I haven't quite dropped the beef with him. He's on, what is he on, 101.7 or
okay.
Sherwin Hughes. Shout out to Sherwin Hughes because I don't believe in holding any grudges. But
for sure.
I got on that show and he just was dogging me out on the show.
While you were there?
While I was there, he was asking me terrible, crazy questions, telling me how I had no chance, and I was just a loser for even thinking I could do something like that. And to me, it was good. It was good radio, bro. It was good radio. Everybody was listening.
You think it was only for the ratings?
I think it might have been for the ratings.
Okay,
It might have been for the ratings. I never seen him do any other candidate the way he did me. But I also understand at that time. And we got a lot of great young politicians now.
Right.
Cavalier Johnson,
yep.
David Crowley, shout out to them. They're great politicians. But at the time, we didn't have any black ones that were like, in my opinion, like going for the big offices, being ambitious.
Got you. Got you.
I got dog for that, man, to be honest with you.
Man, okay, but wait though. So when you go out on Capitol,
yeah.
What are, like, give me some things that you remember. What were you saying? Are you saying like, if I get in office, this is what I'm gonna do?
Yeah, I was like,
this is what I see. Like,
yeah, I was like, the North Side is so neglected. You look at everything that's happening downtown. We need to bring it to uptown.
Got you.
And I'm the only candidate to do that. This is the most important election of our lifetime, which I really thought at that time because you were starting to see that generational investment, man. The Fiserv Forum was being talked about.
Okay.
Then you had the first Northwestern Mutual Tower that was being built or might have just finished. So you saw these things that were starting to happen, but it wasn't like, yo, when is it gonna happen for our side of town? And
Right,
it
because
just
that's
really wasn't.
downtown, right?
Yeah,
It's not
yeah,
really in the nitty gritty
yeah.
midtown areas.
Exactly.
Yeah,
And this was just before actually Walmart had left because Walmart was still at Midtown at the time. Then Walmart ended up leaving, and it was still dead even with Walmart, to be
I
honest.
know. And Lowe's was there. I don't
Yeah.
think anything Lowe's is gone.
Right, right. So I'm like, yo, we got to bring this uptown. So I thought at the time I was standing on business.
Got you.
It was a good call to action. It just obviously it wasn't my time or
Got
like
you.
the time for the community to make that kind of stand. To be honest.
So obviously, like you said, you jumped into it. You start out there on Capitol. You finally hodgepodge a group of people to kind of like help you run the campaign.
Yeah.
Did you do a lot of planning? Were you starting to really like get into the planning phases and things like that?
Yeah, I got into the planning phase, and the one thing for aspiring candidates out there, especially like the young ones, you got to have somebody else be a campaign manager. You got to have somebody else really plan your events. You got to really focus on being the candidate.
Gotcha.
Unfortunately, I had to do all three. So I was planning sides of town. I would go to these different meetings where candidates would go and talk. So I really focused on these live events. And I ain't gonna lie, man. After a second, after stumbling a bit, like on Sherwin's show, I ended up kind of doing my thing at these live events. I was like, I felt like everybody was coming to see what I had to say. But looking back at it, because this was before Trump came out, it was like, I was kind of like not a baby Trump, but like
Right.
I was the first outside guy kind of just talking different than the mainstream politicians.
Got you.
So it was hitting different venues on sides of town. South side, north side, east side. It was a crazy, crazy time, bro.
Dude, that's an experience because I can only imagine like you had to be like nervous at times, right?
Yeah.
But then you were up there, like you said, in these spaces or in these live events, like you said, talking with other candidates that's trying to do the same thing, and
some of them were established politicians.
This
too.
is what I'm saying.
Like, dang, I'm just talking trash or talking my junk to do. You know what I'm saying?
So is it like verbal boxing where y'all going back and forth?
It was verbal boxing. I'll give credit to everybody. Besides Joe Davis, which shout out to former Alderman Joe Davis. He does a lot with unions now and the trades work. He's a good guy. Mm-hmm. But at the time, we used to go at it a lot. He's probably the only guy we didn't. He used to take my signs out of the ground, bro. It got grimy, bro. It got grimy.
Politics gets like that.
Yeah, bro. I put my sign out there, and then they'd be like, "Yeah, it'll be here. Nobody's gonna take it." You come back a couple days later, it's gone, and it got Joe Davis signed, bro. it got ugly, man. But everybody was real respectful outside of kind of some of them ugly moments, man. And I don't know, man. I felt like Joe Davis was salty at me because he felt like I was kind of taking his shine. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, I was a young guy trying to get experience. Of course, you're young, you think you're gonna win, but you just want to represent yourself the best way.
For sure. I'm sure that made you a lot more like confident in like speaking and talking and being in different rooms too, because you went off the cuff.
Yeah, it did. I went off the cuff. I got really good at speaking, and I had got blown out. I had only a few thousand votes. So after that, at the time, the mayor at the time, Barrett, he kind of, I don't want to say took me under his wing, but he kind of started mentoring me and kind of gave me opportunities, and probably because I did, do represent well, and I even though I stood on business, I didn't disrespect nobody.
There you go.
You know what I mean? So it was like it was a good experience at the end of the day, man.
Man, I'm glad you spoke about it. I was going to ask you about it. I'm glad you spoke about it because I wanted to know what it was like. Be obviously we know about like Cavalier and Barrett, because I think Barrett he sponsors, or he's like the head of like the summer youth internship program, and I've been doing that since like 2015, where you get the internships for all the high school kids and public schools and things like that. And he shows up at the graduation and things like that, so which is cool. And Cavalier was there last year since he's the new mayor. But I always wanted to know, like, what was that like for you to do that? And man,
they're both good dudes. Mayor Barry, he was always a good dude, and he can take it on the chin, man. Like, you could talk your junk to him, and he'll still be cool with you. He one of them dudes. And Chevy is very, very poised. I think he's doing a great job, and it's just good to know that. And I don't, these guys are going to be great anyway, but it was good. I felt like I did help put that into the minds of people. Like, young people, young men of color can go for these high positions and do their thing.
Absolutely. Representative.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Representation matters for sure.
Yeah.
It's funny. Cavalier and I actually went to grade school together.
Really?
35th Street School.
That's crazy.
So it's funny to see him. When I seen him, I was like, man, that's crazy. With the grade school together, we was laughing about it. So, but that's good to see. So after you do your mayoral run and
Yeah.
things like that. What did you end up doing? Did you fall into more of the entrepreneurship pieces, or?
It was a combination of that. I needed to get a job again, after that, not having a job. So, that the mayoral administration, they kind of put me into the role in the Office of Equity and Inclusion with the city of Milwaukee.
Oh, okay. So you kind of
Yeah, I kind of just jumped into city government from there.
that's love.
Yeah, it was love. It was crazy. I didn't even interview, bro. It was like I never interviewed, bro. It's like, okay, you're gonna do this. And
Maybe they seen enough.
yeah, and that was my thought,
Right.
And I had a college degree and stuff, so they put me in the role, and I had did that for some years, and they do a great job. Shout out to Nikki Purvis at the African American Chamber of Commerce. She does her thing, and the rest of that OEI team. So I got to see small businesses up close while kind of starting to form mine. Working with my brother. So I did that, worked with small businesses, worked in construction.
Okay.
Got to see firms, and then worked with my brother on a lacrosse project, 62 units of affordable housing, which should be done hopefully in the next 6 or so months. But just kind of do both for a while, and kind of get out of the spotlight, which was good, and kind of just not fall off the mat, but just kind of chill a little bit.
Right.
And kind of get my feet back.
Some kind of normalcy.
Yeah.
Because I can imagine like you being a candidate and on a day-to-day basis, like you always on the go, you always got to be sharp.
Exactly. So just to kind of get back away a little bit, it was good for me. I think so.
Got you. So when we think about entrepreneurship, like what inspired your journey and what kind of lessons have you learned along the way?
Well, I think what inspired my journey, my mom, my dad, my mom especially, like she was really the heart of being an entrepreneur, which came from my grandparents that, on the American side, moved up here from Arkansas.
Okay.
Had a grocery store, was, doing their thing back in the day. So she worked in a grocery store.
Okay.
And then she ended up having a business, Quality Life Services, a transportation business in Milwaukee. And
Okay.
so seeing that really inspired me. And probably, obviously, my brother too. You see, he does it full time. And then just really seeing like the needs of the community, like like honestly, so I used to live on like Burleigh, West Burleigh, like St. Joseph's neighborhood.
Gotcha.
And not too far from Lisbon Avenue. And honestly, I think they working on some stuff now, but Lisbon Avenue used to be a rough stretch, man. And I had a buddy. We played basketball together. It was in middle school, and he didn't make the team. I made the team. He didn't make the team. And I had seen him on Lisbon, like struggling, begging for money after that. And it was like 7th grade. And that stuck in me right there, honestly, just to be like, okay, I think being an entrepreneur, you can give an opportunity to others. Obviously, they have to be qualified and earn it, but you could do more than just, you can give somebody change or just try to reminisce on something.
Right.
But as an entrepreneur, you could really uplift your community. And to me, that's what really stuck out and really made me want to do it, bro. Yeah.
And seeing like somebody like you said you were just playing basketball with,
Yeah.
they make the team, and now you see.
Yeah.
And I don't think people realize like how commonplace that is for even in today for the kids that we have nowadays. I mean, I think that's one thing I used to always challenge my teachers to do was like, go into these environments, go into the city.
Yeah.
Like go shopping in the city.
Yeah.
Like go to these grocery stores and these clothing stores, go to these restaurants in which your kids are going to, or they may even just be around outside.
Right.
So they can see, so you can see, so you'll have a different lens when you step back into that classroom.
Yeah, I think it's important, man, because we got to see what the kids are seeing, experience what they're experiencing, and show them that there's more too. I think when you're in 7th, 8th grade, you feel like, okay, basketball is the way out. And for some it might be, but there's so many things in the world you could do, and you could be a star. You could star in your role in a different way.
Okay, so look, so now that I'm thinking, like you just said, so obviously we talked about entrepreneurship, right? Yeah. And we know you went to college and things like that. Yeah. But a lot of times, and when we were growing up, it was a basketball player, it was a football player. Like I think I said before, like sometimes if you want to impress your teacher, you say, I want to be a lawyer or a doctor or a firefighter, you know what I mean? But when we were in school, the trades weren't really, and you're a year prior to me, but I don't remember it being an option or someone telling us like, go to MATC. I don't remember if WCTC was out or whatever. I think it's like 16 technical colleges here in the state of Wisconsin, but that wasn't pushed about plumbing, electricity, carpentry, none of HVAC, right? Yeah. So it's like all you knew was maybe rap,
Yeah.
play a sport, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Or somehow have some kind of business, but it was never learn a trade to where we can try to make it out, right?
Right, and you bring up a great point. So after I left the city of Milwaukee, I got recruited to Gilbane Building Company. Shout out to Gilbane
I
Building
wanted to get
Company.
there. Got you.
And you know, really, that's my job, man, is to still help people. But now it's getting into the trades. Like I do wish I got into the trades. I love college and all that, but I'm still paying off the debt. I'll be honest. You know what I'm saying?
Same here.
You know,
you know.
but if I could have been a plumber or used my hands or a carpenter, that really would have been the answer. So I love getting into the schools, getting into the neighborhoods and saying, hey, you could work on a big project like the Northwestern Mutual Project or the Milwaukee County projects, or just get into the trades, period, because you've got a lot of folks retiring that, that don't look like us, which is fine, but they need more diversity in the trades, man. So it's still that opportunity right now to get into the trades. And that's what I tell people every single day at work, man.
And it's crazy because you can do a trade and turn it into a business, and you can work on just do the operations once you be able to hire people. You put people in position, like you said, give people opportunities, right? As an entrepreneur, you can give people opportunities.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's crazy because one person I think about is, you remember Vic Sloan?
Vic, yeah.
Vic Sloan, my boy.
I love Vic, man.
He had been doing the community event, the Tot Lot community event and things like that.
Yeah, I saw
and he
that.
continues to do that, doing it again this year. Make sure you're there. But he does plumbing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is a trade.
Yeah.
And he does that and he have his own business now. And this is great to see because he gets to utilize his time how he sees fit.
Yep.
On top of being able to be there for his family.
Yep. And not only that, like you said, with the give back he does, I mean, he could teach somebody else to trade, man. And now you just really passing down the gift, man. Like Vic was always a step ahead in my opinion. He was one of them dudes.
He was always the wise guy, a debater.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah.
Love Vic though, for sure. So just staying on the topic of like small business and things like that, what are some of the biggest challenges that you see or that you know of that small businesses and owners have based on just economic capital and just in today's economy?
I think a lot of small businesses are struggling with funding to take on like big projects. Like, okay, so you a plumber and you smart, you know what to do, you got your crew. How do you make sure you have enough funding to take on a job? Because when you work with some of these bigger construction firms, they're going to make sure you can afford bonding, that you can afford your own materials, and all the safety things that you'll need. And a lot of business owners tell me, hey, that's kind of a hurdle that I'm trying to get over. So I do think that's an issue. I think connectivity is an issue because you got firms that are really good at what they do. Like maybe they might be in a small niche, and if you want to get into something bigger, it might take another jump, but you don't necessarily have that connection. And then sometimes even exposure. Sometimes we just don't know. We don't know what type of small businesses are out there and how to utilize them. And, the businesses, they can do what they can, but they can only do so much as far as marketing. Sometimes we don't even know where the businesses are and what they do, man.
Yes, to be able to pull from those resources from those businesses and utilize them as a resource, right?
Yeah. Because a lot of people, they want to support small businesses.
Right.
I want to support small businesses, but if I don't really know, like I've been on this vegan kick lately, like I only know like one spot, man, like that really has like the vegan stuff. But if I knew, I would go there every day.
What is it, like Twisted Plants?
Yeah, Twisted Plant. That's the only one I know.
Yeah. Yeah, and Beans and Barley. On the east side, north in Oakland. Vic,
yeah.
I know that because Vic is like a vegan. And when we have business meetings, we usually go down there and eat down there, which is vegan pancakes and everything. Like it's actually good. It's not bad. I'm not vegan though, but I partake in some of that. So you've been dealing with real estate and construction.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
So if I'm a minority entrepreneur.
Yeah.
How can or what are some things I can do to kind of like break into the real estate and construction realm?
I think one thing you got to do is figure out what area do you want to get in? Do you want to get into the management side? Do you want to get into the trade side, whether that be plumbing, electrician, work? And then you need to start that LLC, and then you need to get that. Unfortunately, I hate to say it, but you got to get a designation. What we call a DBE. Disadvantaged Business Enterprise, or MBE, Minority Business Enterprise.
Okay.
So get these designations because even though we got Trump around, you know what I'm saying, a lot of construction companies, they still keep score based on like, we're working with 20% minority businesses, and honestly, these directories get listed in the state. So when I'm looking for a plumber, like, oh, Vic Plumbing, he's an MBE. I need to call him because we're doing some plumbing at Northwestern Mutual, and we want to make sure we support diverse businesses. You know, like, because places like NM, they're really good about supporting diverse businesses, but they go off based on these directories. So get yourself listed in that directory, and it's not a hard thing. You just gotta lock in.
Oh, I didn't know that.
No, yeah, you should do it, man. Even what you do, like, because people want to work with you, but they want to see you listed in the system, so they can say, I mean, so they can actually be helping, but so they can say like, oh, we supported Walt's minority business, and he's listed in the directory.
Does that add like some legitimacy to your business too?
It
like
does,
getting into that directory?
It does add a lot of legitimacy. I mean, you look at some of the biggest small businesses in the area. You know, I get to work with a lot of great firms. JCP Construction. You know, they've been doing their thing 15 plus years, but you know, at the end of the day, they're one of the biggest minority construction firms, and people like working with them because they do great work, but also because they know that they're supporting a firm that, you know, has diversity too.
Right. How do you feel about that? Like, in terms of like you said, they're keeping score.
Yeah, I mean,
like, what do you know what I'm saying?
We hoop, man. So
right.
It's like part of you is competitive. It's like, yo,
right.
look, you know, like, man, so we got them doing good. They're up. You know, the goal, for example, on NM is 25%. So I know if I'm making sure they're a part of 25% of contracts, I'm winning. You know, I'm doing my job.
Gotcha.
But at the same time, I hate that we only are keeping score. Like, we should work with these diverse firms anyway. It shouldn't be because,
right,
you know, oh, they have a minority status. So I'm kind of in the middle on it. I'm just happy we in the game, to be honest.
No, I hear you. To actually have a stake in it somehow, some way, right?
Yeah.
And now the work is to continue to push that, to elevate it to even more heights.
But sometimes firms, they get offended. Like, well, I don't want to just be hired because I'm a minority. I want to be hired because I'm the best.
This is true.
So it is a tough fight, bro. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Got you.
Yeah.
But working with Gilbane has given you a lot of opportunity to expand and do other things to impact the community.
Yeah, I think so, man. Because I really focus on the workforce, as I mentioned, and the business side. So I work with diverse businesses trying to get opportunities, whether it be construction or whether it be just like helping out with like swag items like T-shirts, like any way we can engage. If I'm holding an event at our office, I make sure we support diverse-owned vendors, all of that. Like we support what we call rising contractors, kind of teach them the game. Like I saw you had Joe Tucker at the Loyola event, and he's also a great dude. He's also a business owner, so he's in our program.
Gotcha.
He does landscaping and also real estate, and making sure that these firms get an opportunity to learn who we are and kind of teach them things so they can get on these contracts is one of my roles, honestly, along with kind of making sure we get more diverse workforce, more young people, more people of color, and more women on our projects. So it's a fun gig. It kind of puts me in front of people a lot. You know, it's a little weird with this Trump stuff, you know what I'm saying? But we still rocking through it.
No, for sure. And Joa, that's funny that you mentioned Joa, because I was going to mention him earlier because he actually, Wibbick, Wibbick, he actually had a cup of Joe, it's kind of like a meet and greet type conversation, and it was a moderator, and he was speaking about what he did in terms of landscaping, getting his contract with the city, what he had to do, and that's somebody that I reach out to, that I have in my phone, that I can talk to and speak to, and that's. And I needed him on that panel for the Loyola project because not only does he have the business aspect, but he also has the athletic aspect. So we were talking about NIL for the young people, right? And you need those people. So that's good to hear that you guys are even tapped in with individuals like that.
Yeah, I mean, Joe is a great dude. Like, I remember, when we was little, when he was doing this thing out there, man, leading UW to,
Sweet 16.
Sweet 16. Like, I honestly always looked up to dude, man. But to see we talk about staying in the community.
Yeah.
And I think it's just good to have him, and that's why it's like I was so happy. I was with the city when he got those contracts with landscaping.
Gotcha.
And now he's still doing his thing. So I'm really trying to do the same thing on the construction side now, kind of pull him in that area. But he's definitely great to talk to, and like you said, you could learn a lot, and you can give a lot to him too, to be honest.
So when you just said like pulling him over to the construction side and things like that, is that construction side, and I'm just wondering, is it competitive to like get those bids for particular projects and things like that? Is it really, really like super competitive?
It's competitive, but, and I hate to put us in this space again, but when you talk about us, like people of color, like black people, we're not enough. We're not in those spaces enough. So it's a lot for us. Like if that makes sense.
Right.
You know, it's competitive, but like these firms, they want to support black businesses, but honestly, it's not a lot of black, films in construction. It's just not. We need more. Like you said, like we didn't grow up learning the trades.
This is true.
Yeah, so I would say, man, a young person right now, get into the trades, do it 7 years, then get into your own practice, man. Like, or just go ahead and buy a firm. Like, okay, it might be too late for me and you to get into the trades. Get your money up and buy a firm, or start a firm and hire that experience and get going, man.
Man, more people. We need more people in that space.
We really do, because they're gonna always be building, no matter what. Like even 30 years from now, they're gonna be building something.
Something's gonna be built,
man.
So obviously that's that side, right?
Yeah.
And we want them to go to, get the trade and have that hands-on experience. How can education better prepare our young people for like business and entrepreneurship? So like you said, going for business or whatnot, how can that help them prepare for, business and entrepreneurship?
Like, man, so we graduated from Mesmer. I went to Marshall for a while, and then I ended up going to Mesmer.
Yeah.
It's crazy. But like, did we have any business classes? Like, I mean, I know we had math and stuff. Like,
I had a law class.
Oh yeah.
No bit in communications, but no business, economics, or anything like that.
The only, even going up through like elementary school, the only class we really had, or I only really had, was junior achievement. I don't know if you ever had that.
Is that where they go to Coles for the BizTown? No, okay, I do remember junior achievement. Junior achievement is separate from that.
Yeah. So it's like we really need to change the curriculum in schools, where we need to add stuff. We need to add business classes, financial literacy, and we need to do trade stuff. Like I remember I had one wood shop class. I remember that. But other than that, I never really had no type of class where I was using my hands. So I think we just got to really change the curriculum. And one thing I do like about Mesmer, and is it Jim? Is he still there? Is it Jim Piatt?
Jim Piatt?
Piatt, yeah. He started.
He's retiring, I think, this year.
Oh man, shout out to him. But I know he was really serious about implementing trades into to the curriculum. So I think that's a start. But even then, we still need to get financial literacy, and we still need to get business classes in there, where make each student build a business and then present it and then vote on it. Vote on the winners.
Kind of pitch on it.
Yeah, like a baby Shark Tank.
No, for sure. And you're absolutely right about Jim really trying to be a proponent for pushing the trades, because Mesmer High School now does have like a maker space in an area where they can do all those things. And shout out to Jim too, because he's the one that actually expedited my promotion from dean to associate principal. He wanted me to ultimately be a principal. That never was my dream though. But shout out to Jim for that.
It's a good dude.
Yeah, for sure. And then you're right though. And I was talking to some, I'm not gonna call them old, some seasoned people, a while ago, and they were saying like back when they actually used to have tax preparation classes, and different economic home ec and things like that, and they had like some trades, because I think tech is known for some of that stuff too. So but when they were growing up, they did, you know what I'm saying? Because like education, they always say it's like a pendulum swing. So I do see it. It might have started here, and now they've taken a lot of that stuff out of there. And I don't know if it's intentional. I don't know what it is. You know what I'm saying? But you are right. That needs to be put back into there for the sake of the kid, because the earlier exposure, the better.
I just think it's a good thing. Even like home ec, I remember having a home ec class, and I just, cooking ain't just for women no more, man. It's really for everybody.
I had home ec in 6th grade at Webster. Daniel Webster. I went to Daniel Webster in 6th grade.
Yeah. See? So, I mean, I just want to make sure that type of stuff is staying in the class, man, because I think those are the things that you end up going back to, like, oh, man, I knew how to cook since 6th grade. You know what I'm saying? Like,
and I just had an idea. I'm going to talk to you off camera about it, though.
Okay.
No, for sure. So,
for sure.
But moving right along, so as we continue to think about just like entrepreneurship and things like that, when kids get the educational piece, right, and they need to jump into the workforce or into, into that realm, is it important for them to be able to have that educational piece to anchor on and then get that experience? And how do they get it together though? Because remember when we were in college, all we did was go to class. Some of us may have got internships, but a lot of times people want to know that you got the academics and the experience. So how do kids get the education piece, but get the experience in like the trades.
Yeah, I think, well, one, I think as soon as you're even close to 18, you can start looking at the trades. I think the biggest thing they could do is connect with unions.
Okay.
We're still like, to me, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, we're a union state.
Still unionized.
Still unionized. So you need to go to these unions and tell them what you want to do. Like, hey, they have this thing called an acuplacer test. You take this test and it basically tells you what you're good at. If you have a certain score, you should be an electrician. If you have a certain score, you should be a plumber, a carpenter. Take it and see where you land. And then talk to that union rep and get some exposure and see if you like it. A lot of folks, probably a little before our time, I understand a lot of minorities, we were actually locked out of the trades for a long time. So that might be part of too why we're trying to catch up. But now everybody's really willing to let you in because so many folks are retiring and that pipeline isn't full. Take that acuplacer test, see where you stand amongst the 30 or so trades, and then go talk to that tradesperson and get some experience while you're in school. That's really the time to do it.
Wow, especially early on.
Yeah.
And how important are relationships in entrepreneurship and trades?
I think that might be the most important thing, man. Like relationships, like my son is really shy, but he's only 7. I think being able to talk to people might be the most important skill, man, because people really want to help. But if you can't articulate to them with confidence, then it's going to be tough to get what you want. Like I very much think you could go to school and actually be working in the trades too. But you got to just talk and get to know people and ask, hey, how can I be, don't be afraid to give somebody their flowers. Like, man, how can I be like you? I think most people be willing to take you under their arm, to be honest with you.
Why are people afraid to ask? Or how do people get the confidence or improve their confidence into being able to sit next to somebody and say, hey, that's somebody that wants to help? Because you said that these people really do want to help.
Yeah.
But then sometimes you can look at that person and be like, oh, no, he probably don't want to.
Yeah.
He probably don't want to. He don't really care what I have to say. But if you engage in a conversation, like, how do you ask somebody?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No, I feel you, man. I just think that's the bold step we got to take. I mean, what class can you really take that improves like that self-confidence? I mean, maybe there's some things we could do, like maybe just put that in our communications curriculum. But I think we gotta. There does have to be some initiative in it,
Right.
And to me, it's just having that confidence within yourself. But we do that's something we gotta work on, man. You come from education. I mean, I do think that there's some things in the curriculum that we can enhance that will really help young people and get them engaged, because to me, that confidence, that's just as important as being a 3.5 student, man.
You're right, yes. So, I mean, okay, so then how important is a mentor then?
It's,
right?
Ooh, yeah. It's very important. I be feeling bad, man, because like big brothers, big sisters, like I've never participated. I've always wanted to. And I know it's not too late. Shout out to them. But you do got to find that mentor. You got to find a mentor. I think that should be the goal of every young person, regardless of age or ethnicity, all of that. You should find a mentor. You got to find a mentor.
For sure. Somebody that can actually, put an arm around you and kind of like show you the ropes and even put you in places where you can like test that out.
Yeah.
Test out those things, right?
Yeah.
And shout out to Big Brother, Big Sister, because I actually had my mom actually put me in a Big Brother, Big Sister when I was younger.
What?
Because she was always looking for me for like a positive male role model.
That's
and
dope,
things like
man.
that. So
that's dope.
shout out to Kevin Kabilski. I still
Shout
keep
out.
in contact with him, man. You should take me bowling.
That's what's up. I never even knew that, man.
Yeah, my mom always try to figure out like
she always seemed real nice, man. And I remember like we used to scoop you off 27 Capitol, bro.
Yes.
And, we used to have the highest grades. So I'm like, dang, dog. But no, it just shows you about them support systems.
No,
man.
for sure. It's moms. It's moms, and she just always really tried to have some positive male figure. She knew how important it was to have a positive male figure, and she really tried her best. And kind of like what I did was I tried to hodgepodge the different people that I had take from there, And shout out my sister too. Can't forget her. So
that's dope.
Yeah, man. But yeah, Big Brother, Big Sister, man. You got me thinking I need to be doing it.
Yeah.
And I asked this to somebody else that was on the pod too. I want to say I think it was Khalif. So we were talking about mentors, right?
Yeah.
And I was listening to, I can't remember what podcast it was or what I was listening to, but this lady was saying like, it seems as if, no, she was boldly with, I'm gonna take that back. Now she didn't say seems. She said, black people are over mentored and underfunded. What are your thoughts on that?
She real. She real for that. She real for that. I don't know if we're under mentored. But I do think that we get enough, or at least there is enough out there as far as resources for mentoring.
Mm-hmm. And workshops, right?
Yeah, it's always workshops. It's always somebody you can reach out to if you're ready. We still need to do it more. Mm-hmm. We are underfunded. We are underfunded. We've historically been underfunded. So I mean that kind of drives the work I do. But that is something that has to change, man. If it's one thing we could do in the next 20 years, is find a way to make sure we're properly funded. But I think it starts with figuring out what does that look like? What does being properly funded look like?
I know.
You know, I think one element is on the entrepreneurship side. You know, so we should be able to do Shark Tank stuff in the community all the time. Mm-hmm. You know, and maybe I can't invest $1 million in it, but even if you got a community that can invest 10,000 behind a great idea that'll get it from point A to point B,
right?
That's a big deal, man.
I know, and Teens Grow Greens.
Yeah.
Shout out Charlie. I've been trying to be like a mentor over there a lot of times, and I pop up some of his events. I know they have like this Shark Tank event as well.
Yeah,
and I think Jakari Carr does too. I don't want to miss anybody, but I think he does it too. But Teens Grow Greens, they had like a gala, and they had the kids come up there and pitch their ideas and things like that. I think somebody even had their stuff in like Walmart.
Wow.
But like you said, we should have that on a bigger level in which we should be able to do that, like you said, all the time.
Yeah.
To help push and uplift some of these small businesses, because I mean, isn't it said that small businesses are the ones that drive the economy?
Yeah, and I'd have to agree with that, man. So you think about even some of these neighborhoods, just think about the inner city neighborhoods. If you think about the storefronts, unfortunately, we still got so many empty storefronts when you go around the neighborhoods. But if these were vibrant businesses, now you increase the walkability. Now people want to get out their house. Oh, let me go see this neighborhood flower shop or this clothing shop or, So I think it starts with supporting one another. Maybe not every idea is a great one.
No, for sure.
Some are great ones. And we need to make sure we can get them in front of the people.
You just made so much sense right there, especially when I think about the storefronts and a lot of the abandoned ones now where there's nothing there. It's not occupied. And like you said, that neighborhood flower shop, there was a flower shop on Tatonia. Tatonia and Capitol. I used to always go to. Was it Rosie's? Not Rosie's, right across from that Walgreens. I
know what you're talking about. I forget the name.
But that was, I don't know if it's still there, but I just know, like, that made me think about, like you said, the storefront, being able to see that and go spend your dollars right here in this local area.
That's something we got to get back to. I had a dream that it was like we had utilized some empty storefront for like young kids and like virtual reality stuff or some stuff. And man, I wish how you forget dreams like that. But I just knew we were in somewhere in the hood. It was just a nice setup, and it was just going down, man. And I still believe in that. I think we can really activate our community through these storefronts and literally make change, man.
And then when we do that, like, how do we make it, I guess, sustainable? You know what I mean? Like,
that's a good question.
Like, how can like our local government better support like small businesses and the economic growth? Like, to make, let's say we do create a storefront, right?
Yeah.
But obviously we need capital.
Yeah.
We need funding. You know what I'm saying? Like, how do we make that sustainable through maybe governmental subsidiary? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I think they need to have, and they have some of these programs. You talked about WIBIC, but we need more forgivable loans.
Yeah.
Maybe make them pay back the first few years, but if they're still able to sustain and they're in business past 3 years, forgive the difference of the loan. I just think we need more investment in the neighborhood, more philanthropic dollars. Greater Milwaukee Foundation, they do a lot of great work. But a lot of these foundations, man, I would like to see them do more in the central city of our community. So that's my personal call to action, is making sure we get more philanthropic funding in the community and whatever it takes. I mean, of course, make sure, make them fill out applications. Choose the best. Maybe everyone doesn't make it, but
no, for sure.
We literally need more investment into the neighborhood. We need it.
Man, no, I agree. Because I know a lot of people usually say, like, apply for grants, but then it's like some people would be like, okay, I'm going to apply for a grant, but how do I apply for a grant? Where do I go?
Yeah.
Who do I reach out to?
We need more workshops.
You know what I'm saying? In regards to that, because some people, a lot of the nonprofits and other institutions, they actually have in-house grant writers that know the ins and outs. Yeah. Like, now it would be nice to utilize some of them to provide those workshops. And I'm not saying that that's not going on.
Right,
I don't want anybody to feel like I'm saying like it doesn't go happen.
Yeah.
But it would be nice to like see it a little bit more prevalent. You know what I'm saying?
I
In the
agree.
community, because I know we have a lot of these co-working spaces now, right? Like
Yeah,
Fruition,
a lot of those are popping
MKE.
up. Yeah.
And I actually went down there to tour the space because I actually did a podcast down there, a mental health pod, and I went down there to tour, and I'm just trying to figure out like how can I partner? Do you want me to come down there and do workshops for the youth? You know what I'm saying? Try to bring people out to actually frequent this space.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? To
Yeah.
put eyes on it, even though it's right there on like 27th and Clybourne.
Yeah.
But hey, it's a nice facility with a lot of different things in there that we can actually utilize.
For
You know what I'm
sure.
saying?
For sure. For sure. Yeah, I do think you bring up a great point with the workshops, man. I think if we could do it in a more synergic, with a bigger synergy,
Yes.
I think that will go far. Like if I knew like, oh, they're holding this workshop, they do it every month around the same time, and it was broadcast everywhere, it'd be real easy to attend and push people to attend, and really go from there. But we definitely need more workshops, to be honest with you.
So I know we kind of went off on my track, but as I'm talking to you and listening to you, that's why I said our conversation be catching up.
Yeah.
When we think about like resources, right, beyond just entrepreneurship resources and small business things, the resources in Milwaukee has been like a conversation for a while.
Yeah.
Do you feel that we have enough resources in the city, or do you feel like we need more, or is it more so like we just don't know where they are because they haven't been marketed?
So I can say with certainty, unfortunately, we need more resources. We need more, and that doesn't mean that we haven't had more come now than it's been 20 years ago.
Gotcha.
It's just the thing is that we really, really need more. Right now, you think about the city of Milwaukee, you got CDBG funding that can go to these different things. You got home HOME funding that can go to these different things. But it's really not enough. You got a few forgivable loans out there, but we need more. We already paying a lot. I wouldn't be mad at paying an extra 35 cents, 50 cents to something that really went directly to certain neighborhoods.
Right.
To me, that would really increase the investment. That might bring in a couple million a year, and that could go directly to whatever they want to allocate it to. But earmark it, man. I think we need a little bit more just cut off for the neighborhoods. And it's been more than 20 years ago, but I think we're still behind, to be honest.
No, I hear you. And just going back to when you were your candidacy, right?
Yeah.
And I know you were in the neighborhoods and things like that, right? You were frequented, had to be out there, be seen, be public.
Yeah.
What was like your biggest takeaway from that experience?
My biggest takeaway is is that, man, we were worse off than I thought. For every Walt or some of the great people we mentioned, the Kyles, you got people that's so deep entrenched into the poverty of the neighborhood that they don't have an idea of what's going on outside of it. So to me, even though we're working hard to unite Milwaukee, I still think we're segmented off. They're still in certain communities very segmented off, and they were just not locked into what's going on politically, socially, and there's more that we could do. When you think about Milwaukee, a lot of folks, even still, they come from the South from here, or they come from other Midwestern cities.
This is true.
And they go directly into these neighborhoods. They might be in 53206, and to them, they were just in Mississippi, and now they're in 53206. So it's like they're still catching up to the whole political energy and the whole social energy here. But that doesn't mean I still saw a lot of positivity.
Right.
But it's just the message is still not reaching all the way into the neighborhoods.
Right. And then I'm glad you said that, because when I'm thinking about that, and like you said, like in terms of the resources and lack thereof, right? You're right, because that means that these individuals that are wired this way because they're based on their conditions of where they are.
Yeah.
We don't have, or we potentially don't have the resources to get to those people. You know what I'm saying? Because it's one thing to say we got all these resources. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 resources here. But if those resources don't touch those individuals that are deeply entrenched in whatever they have going on,
exactly.
Is it really a resource? Is it really enough?
Right. So whatever we could do as far as just getting to that group, I think that'll be the changing tide in Milwaukee, and we need a little bit more to get to them.
Got you.
So
one of my my final question is, what's your motive James? Like, what's your motive in terms of like you're doing all this great work, you're tapping into community, you ran for mayor, you see what you see, you've grown up here. Like, what is your motive? Because I understand that you're really trying to get these people into these spaces,
Yeah.
but what drives you?
Man, like my motive is like to for the next young guy coming up to really or woman to really be able to fulfill their best dreams in Milwaukee.
Mm-hmm.
Like I really think Milwaukee can be, and it's on its way to being one of the best places in the world to live, work, and play.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think like between seeing my young buddy I used to hoop with that didn't make the team to then him being homeless to a lot of people we grew up with that didn't necessarily make it here because they got into that wrong life and got killed somehow. Just to feel like I'm putting an opportunity in somebody's hand, that motivates me every single day to say, hey, this person has an opportunity at a family supporting job. They might make it, they might not make it, but this, we talk about basketball. This was a bounce pass for a layup, and to be, if I could do that every day, that's really my motive, man. Because to me, that's what's really gonna change the city, along with some of the other things that we talked about. But being able to actually help somebody and put food on the table is something that motivates me every single day, man.
And that's beautiful. I like the analogy of the bounce pass to a layup as opposed to being able to sit back there and watch somebody struggle.
Yeah.
And be like, no, I got here because I did this, and this. I had to struggle for it. No, if I'm here, I took the elevator up, I should be able to send the elevator back down. Exactly. I should be able to give that pass, right?
Exactly.
And I love that. And that's another reason why like it's so important for me to have guests that I really feel as if their motive is pure and it's intentional. And you did nothing but corroborate that. You know what I'm saying? And, I'm not perfect, but I usually try to vet, and really try to see because at the end of the day, it's cliche, but I'm really trying to figure out, try to create a conglomerate of individuals that not only I can tap into, but I can relay and resource other people out to you guys.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, for sure.
Whether it be for mentorship, whether it be for some kind of information, whether it be for some kind of guidance, maybe it's a bounce pass for something else. Maybe you know what I'm saying? So those types of things. So I appreciate you for that.
No, I appreciate you, man. I want to give you a shout out because of what you're doing. I mean, just being able to get your podcast and do everything that you do, you're really starting to help build a community, probably even beyond Milwaukee, but just kind of on the ground level so we can all have something that we can all watch and enjoy and get something from and then have this connectivity to the community, man. Absolutely. I think it's so dope, man. So congratulations to you, man.
Thank you, man. You gotta stay connected, gotta stay grounded.
Yeah.
You really want to stay down there with your people so you don't be too far removed.
Yeah.
Because the people that are closest to the problems are closest to the solution.
Yeah, you're right. It's true.
So if somebody wants to reach out to you, I know you said you just got on Instagram.
Yeah.
If somebody wants to connect with you and things like that, how can they reach you?
Man, you can connect with me on Instagram. My name is Methu414Life, Methu 414Life. I'm on LinkedIn, obviously James Methu. But I'd probably say those are the two easiest ways. I'm always on social media. Once you download the app, you just back on there. So, you know what I'm saying?
So Instagram and LinkedIn.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. Well, man, I appreciate you for coming through, man. It's been a while, but I'm glad we were able to catch up. We could have talked longer.
Yeah.
But I want to be respectful of your time. But let's make sure we stay in touch.
We will, man. We will.
We appreciate it. I'm glad that you're doing some wonderful things, especially the community piece. That really makes my heart swell. That draws me to a lot of people that really try to do those things. And thank you, man. Appreciate you.
Thank you, man. Love always, man.
Always. Until next time.